Hello and welcome to the Alignment with Jen podcast. I am your host, Jen DeSazy, and today we're going to be going into 5 micro shifts that you can make to speed up your manifestations and to manifest more wealth, love, success into your life. These shifts have come out of working with thousands of clients to help them manifest pretty much everything that you can think about. And my goal is that within this episode, you will really understand these more subtle nuances to the manifestation process that are likely keeping you stuck and preventing you from manifesting more things into your life. So I hope that you really enjoy this episode. I hope that you get so much out of it, and let's go. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that manifestation is always working. There's not one moment of your day that you are not manifesting something. It is deliberate, intentional manifestation that most people are not doing, because manifestation is based off of our dominant thoughts, which create our dominant vibration and our dominant frequency. And so if our dominant thoughts are out of alignment with what we really want, what is happening is, guess what? We're manifesting things that we don't really want. But the truth is that the law of attraction is always working. We are always attracting something to us. And it is our goal and my goal through this episode to really help you direct that focus and direct that energy of yours to attract in the things that you want. And what I have seen is there's really subtle ways that we kind of mess up this process. And so between this episode and actually the next episode, I'm going to give you 10 of these very subtle things for you to think about that are going to make a world of difference. These are not going to require any additional time from you. They are just going to require you to shift your thinking in a very subtle way. So what's super cool about this episode is that you, as you listen, you are going to be rewiring your mind to attract more things to you. By you simply just listening to this information, you are shifting your vibrational set point and shifting what you're attracting to you. So I highly recommend listen to this episode a couple of times. It's only going to be about 20 or 30 minutes. So listen to it a couple of times so you really get this information deeper into your head, because we can consciously know something, like we can consciously know how to ride a bike, but really still struggle to ride a bike, right? Like when we're younger. And when we no longer have to think about riding a bike, we can be on the phone, we can be thinking about other things, we can navigate in different ways. And that's what I want you to experience with manifestation, is I want it to be so unconscious that it drives your behaviors without you even thinking about it. And the way that you get there is through repetition, is through hearing this information over and over and over again in different ways and in deeper ways. Okay. I want to share a story with you to start off with, because I think this is really helpful for understanding manifestation and the power of manifestation. So manifestation is something that every single wealthy person, every single successful person in the world uses, whether they realize they're using it or not. And this information is something that has been written about for thousands of years. It's talked about in the Bible. It's talked about in all spiritual texts, truly. And it is only within the last, I would say, about 30 years that it's becoming more popular, and really more so in the last 5 to 10 years. And the reason for this is that this information has been suppressed because it is so powerful that people do not want this information getting out. You've probably heard of the book Think and Grow Rich. I'm sure you've heard of it. That book originally was something called The Laws of Success. Andrew Carnegie was one of the most wealthy people in the world. And Andrew Carnegie paid Napoleon Hill, he commissioned him to go and interview all of the most successful people in the world at the time in order to write this book about the principles and the laws of success. What makes somebody so successful? How do they think? How do they act? What drives their behavior? And Napoleon wrote this book, and it ended up being a series of 4 books. You can actually buy it today if you want to. Just get the unabridged version. And what happened is when he released that book, he received so much scrutiny that they told him he had to take it off the shelves. So he took it off the shelves and he distilled it down into what is now Think and Grow Rich. The thing is, he distilled it down so much that it was even a lesser version of what he had originally written in Think and Grow Rich. So it was like the law of success, and then it was shrunken, and then it was shrunken again. That's how powerful this information is, and that's how powerful people do not want it to get out, because it is such life-changing information when you really learn how to use it in your life. There was another book that Napoleon Hill actually wrote called Outwitting the Devil that he refused to have released during his lifetime, and it had to be released even after the people that he loved died because he was afraid of the scrutiny he would receive from releasing that book because of the ideas shared within that book. That's how powerful manifestation is. It truly is guiding all of success. All of the secret societies, all of the ultra wealthy secret societies use these principles. And so you learning how to use these principles will change your life. The problem is most people don't actually know how to use the principles. They get kind of the idea. They might have seen The Secret, but The Secret doesn't even contain the secret. That has been filtered out of that movie as well. So just sharing that with you. If you do read The Law of Success, get the unabridged version. If you do read Think and Grow Rich, get the unabridged version as well. Those contain more information than what was filtered out. My hope is that with this episode today, you'll start to understand more of those subtle distinctions that take it from just kind of seeing the movie The Secret to actually understanding how to truly apply it in your life. And stay tuned and dive into the next episode that will be released next week so that way you can go even further into this. And what I really want to set up as we dive into this episode is the difference between dabbling and mastery. Because the people who are creating ultra success using the law of attraction, they are not dabblers. They're not sometimes thinking about it, sometimes following the principles. It is guiding their behavior. It is guiding all of their thoughts. They are a ninja with their thoughts and the way that they view the world. And so for you, if you really want to use these principles to create massive success, and truly, I don't think it's possible to create massive success without using these principles, you need to develop mastery. And mastery comes through repetition. It comes through applying this information. It comes through repeatedly diving in and learning these concepts. So that is something to think about. If you have not gotten the results that you want through manifestation, it's probably because you're a dabbler. It's probably because you haven't really dug in to actually, how does this work? How do I use it to drive my life? How do I actually think in alignment with the life that I want to live versus the lack of what I don't want? As I go through this episode, you may have heard some of the things that I'm going to say, but I do not want you to say, oh, I've heard that, check, check, check. That's not how you deepen your mastery. You deepen your mastery by being teachable, by being open to new information. The minute you say, oh, I've heard that, and you toss it out without re-listening to it, without letting it sink into your mind deeper. Think of water trickling down soil. The deeper it goes, the more powerful it is because it's going to inform all of your behaviors automatically. You won't have to think about it. It will become part of the fabric of who you are. This morning, I was rereading a book that I have already read twice. The book Ask and It Is Given by Abraham and Esther Hicks. I was listening to it on my walk, and they said one line that I have heard probably 1,000 times on social media and all of these things, and through reading the book already. And I heard it in a completely different way, and it created a fundamental shift in the way that I see the world. Truly, just from hearing that line again and again. So for you, be open to receiving this information, because the more that you say, I've already heard that, the more you close off your ability to receive the answers that you're asking for. That is the first important concept that I want you to really think about is, are you teachable? Are you open to actually hearing this information? And instead of saying, oh, I already know that, because that closes you off. So that is the first mistake that I see people make. I'm going to give you 5 of these mistakes. The first one is low teachability. It's saying, I already know this. I've already heard about the law of attraction. I've already heard about manifestation. Okay, well, if it's not working in your life, you don't know it. You may have heard about it. There's a difference between hearing about something and actually knowing it deep in your bones, deep in who you are. And that's the level I want you to get to, because then, watch out, good things are happening for you. And the last thing I'll say about teachability is when you say that I already know this, you are closing the door to the deeper distinctions that are actually going to make a difference. Because most people know what the law of attraction is, right? Like attracts like, but that does not guide most people's behavior. It is because they need those deeper levels of distinction, those deeper levels of understanding for it to truly impact their life. Okay, so be open is really the core of that. The second mistake that I see is that people do not understand that they are always manifesting and that everything in their lives is the result of their own vibration and their own frequency. And that can be really hard for people to accept if their lives are not where they want them to be, right? It's very easy for us to blame outside people, to blame other circumstances, to blame things outside of us. When we do that, what we are doing is we are literally wrapping up our power and serving it out to someone else. When you take full responsibility for the things you create in your life, you become the creator. You become the cause instead of the effect. And from that place, you are so much more able to create the life that you want. Because if you're constantly in this victim mentality of, oh, this is happening to me, woe is me, this is difficult, you have a low vibration, so you're not really attracting that much to you, but you also have no power to create the change that you want to truly create. So recognizing and accepting, I am always manifesting things into my life. That means that as I decide to change my vibrational set point, I decide to change my destiny. And it can happen in a single moment. It is the matter of a decision. It is a decision to say, I'm no longer going to indulge in those emotions and those thoughts of my past, and I am now going to choose to direct my thoughts and to direct my energy toward what I wish to create. And anything that happens along that path is of my highest good. Anything that happens in your life is of your highest good at that moment. And so the more that you can really recognize that every single challenge that you have is there for your good, the more powerful you become. And the more that you accept that you are the creator of your life, the more powerful that you become. The other thing that I want to mention about the law of attraction is that the law of attraction is like the law of gravity. It is a law of the universe. It is a law that governs the universe, and it works whether you believe it or not, right? If you don't believe in the law of gravity, does that mean that gravity does not affect you? No, it still means if you drop your cell phone may crack. If you step off the side of a building, you may fall off the side of a building. Law of gravity does not discriminate for belief or not. The law of attraction is the same way. Whether you believe it or not, it is going to be creating things within your life. It works 100% of the time. It is always working. It is never turned off. When you get your dominant thoughts, I'm not saying your thoughts have to be perfect. They never have to be perfect. It's your dominant thoughts. The majority of your thoughts moving in the direction of what you want, the more and more powerful you become. And the thing that people really struggle with this is that they will come to this work and they'll have a lot of negative energy, right? They might have had trauma in their past, negative past experiences, very negative thinking patterns, and they will try to think more positively. But then they'll be like, well, I've been thinking more positively and it's not working. What happens is you have all this momentum of this negative energy. Think of it as like a black ball of energy that's just stuck to you. And you have to clear that out and start bringing in those more positive thoughts. So for someone like that, it's going to be more difficult. And that's why some people are faster manifestors than others, because some have cleared out all of that gunk and are now able to think more positively far more easily. Myself 5 years ago is a far less powerful manifestor than myself now, because I've cleared out so much of that trauma, so much of that gunk. Right? And this is something that I work on with my clients inside the Infinite Experience. So if you want help through that process, if you want help with the deep nuances of manifestation, that is the place for you. You can send me a message on Instagram that says the word podcast. My Instagram's @alignment-with-Jen, and I'll share a little video with you about that experience. So Earl Nightingale, he's like one of the OG personal development teachers. You can go on YouTube and watch one of his videos. I think it's called The Strangest Secret. Great little video. He talks about you get what you think about most of the time. That's essentially the law of attraction in a nutshell. You get what you think about most of the time. Like attracts like. So if you are constantly thinking about, I don't have enough money, I can't do it, this isn't possible, this is hard, what are you going to get? You're not going to get anything else. It wouldn't make sense. The law does not say that that's possible. Same with Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich. You get what you think about. That's the essence of Think and Grow Rich as well. It's not called Do and Grow Rich. It's not called Become and Grow Rich. It's called Think and Grow Rich. All a belief is a thought that you keep thinking. So it has energy attached to it. So it feels more real. So you need to shift your thoughts to thinking more of what you want. And then you will start to attract those more dominant thoughts that you desire. You are not blocked. There's nothing blocking you. The only thing blocking you is that you aren't great with your thoughts. You need to learn how to control them. At the last Dr. Joe event, he kept saying, and it just kept cracking me up. He just kept saying, if you haven't gotten what you want, you're just not that good at it. And that's the thing. You're just not that good at it. So get better at it, right? Anything that's valuable, important in your life, you just want to get better at. So that's the second one. The third one, and these kind of all weave together, so you're going to hear me sort of talking about them all together, is your dominant thoughts create the dominant life that you experience. The mistake most people make is they let their minds be dictated by their external experience or by their programmed internal experience. So if they're used to thinking negative, they let that dictate their life. If their current reality is living paycheck to paycheck, really struggling to make money, really having a hard time, they let that dictate their future. So it's not that their future can't be different, it's that they're still recreating that same future. That's why we really want to shift our thoughts to thinking about what we want and feeling what we want instead of focusing on this external. Okay, the more that you can really become a ninja with your thoughts, the more you're going to see your life change. And at first, it might be kind of slow if you've got that big ball of dirty energy. All right, you keep going. You don't give up. You don't give up. You don't give up. With our thoughts, the thing to think about is that our subconscious mind guides a lot of our thoughts. So we want to be thoughtful with the thoughts that we're thinking, and then we want to do some form of subconscious reprogramming to reprogram those deeper thoughts that I call them whisper thoughts. They're those little thoughts that come up just kind of below the surface. Okay, so that's something to really think about, is incorporating some of that into your life. The next mistake that I see is that people try to manifest from resistance. So I want you to begin thinking about your emotions as your guidance scale. This is something that Abraham Hicks talks a lot about. A lot of law of attraction teachers talk about this. And it's that your emotions are not telling you what is going on around you. They are telling you whether or not you are connected to the flow of well-being. So if you have a negative emotion, if you have an uncomfortable emotion, what it's telling you is that you're thinking about this situation in a way that isn't connecting you to the truth of who you are, the expansiveness of your soul. A lot of people think that their emotions are telling them, oh, I better look out for this, or this isn't right for me, or these are not good things. They associate their emotions with meaning something about the external world. Our emotions are all our internal world. They're all the way we're interpreting a situation. The thing is, there are 1,000 different ways to interpret any situation. That's why every single person can watch the Super Bowl halftime show that just happened yesterday, and they all have a different experience, right? We can all experience an event and we can all view it completely differently. That's because you can view any situation in a different way. And when you begin to use your emotions to connect you to that stream of well-being, the universe is full of well-being. There's always access to well-being. There's always access to guidance. And when you focus on the negative, you're pinching yourself off from that well-being. You're pinching yourself off from that flow. And this is something that is even shown by science. When we are more optimistic, when we are more open with and in more elevated emotions like happiness and gratitude, it actually results in our mind being more creative and more open to solutions, our brain. When you allow yourself to start viewing your emotions as guidance and information about how you're viewing a situation, it is going to completely change your life. I think of emotions as showing me where my thinking is off, as showing me the quality of the signal that I'm sending out to the universe. Because our emotions are going to send out a frequency, and I want my emotions to send out a frequency that aligns with what I want. And so if they're not, I know that my thinking is off. So I'll give you an example of what this might sound like. So let's say that you think the thought, I'm behind, nothing is working. That's the thought in your mind. Okay. A way to elevate that thought is to see it in a little bit of a different perspective. So, okay, I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm learning. Then maybe we elevate it a little bit more and you say, I figured things out before, I can figure this out too. Do you see how you're just subtly starting to feel a little bit better? And that's the power of using our thinking to guide our emotions and becoming a ninja with our thoughts and a ninja with our emotions. That way, we're not bogged down by what we don't want, and we can begin to be the creators of what we want. The next one, number 5, is thinking that and recognizing that manifestation is not a method, it is a skill that you develop. Intentional manifestation, right? We're all manifesting all of the time unconsciously. And when you begin to start exploring this, a lot of people are looking for like the one quick truth or the one quick result. And that's not how it works. What it is you are developing a stack of skills. And I want to share with you basically the 4 skills that I think are essential to becoming a master manifester. And you'll begin to see, okay, I can work on this. I can work on this. So the first one is the ability to focus. So much of our society today is distracting us. There's so much that can distract us. Simply social media is incredibly distracting. And I recommend the dopamine trap episode. If you struggle with focus, that's going to be a really good one for you. Focus is essential because if you are not able to focus your laser beam of thought on what you want, and you're constantly wiggle waggling between, I want this, I don't want this, I want this, I don't want this, you are never going anywhere. You might focus on it and then you stop focusing on it or you focus on something else. Those are going to cancel each other out. So you have to truly keep your focus on what you want. And that can be difficult for people, especially if their external reality is not showing that. And so you have to be able to separate, okay, my current reality is showing this, but that's based on my old dominant thoughts and dominant feelings. I'm creating something new, so my reality must change. Your energy must change first before your external reality can change. So that's the first one. The second one is emotional regulation, is being able to step outside of your emotions and not just let them run the show. And this can be really difficult, especially during certain times of the month. I know for myself, there's a certain week of the month that it's way harder for me to be in a high vibrational emotion, but I work on it and I find tools and I find things that help me. And the more that you regulate your emotions, think of every emotion you have as either a vote for what you want or a vote for what you don't want. So if you want love in your life and you're spending all of your time in loneliness and sadness and focusing on what you don't have, then you're putting a lot of votes in the box that you don't want. So emotional regulation is huge and being able to do that. And I think that emotional regulation and subconscious reprogramming are one and the same. They are essential to go together. And that is something that we do in the Infinite Experience, is the subconscious reprogramming and working with the emotions a ton. The third is thought discipline, what I call being a ninja with your thoughts, right? It's noticing, okay, if my emotions feel off, retracing what were my thoughts about that? Because oftentimes they're so subtle, they're so whisper thought that they just slip past your awareness. So becoming super aware and literally getting a journal, writing out the negative thought, and then writing out what are some other ways I can start to think about this? Because there's 1,000 opportunities for you to think differently. I'm not saying to lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. That doesn't help. I'm saying, how can you see this differently, right? I have a client who is telling me that she started to focus on gratitude. She just went through a breakup and she just lost her job. And she posted this really cute video in our group about her being like, well, you know what? Yeah, those things are happening. There's a lot of uncertainty in my life. And I'm so grateful that my family is okay. I'm so grateful that I have my health. I'm so grateful about all of these things. And she was lit up. And then she's like, then I went and I bought ice cream, and I think they gave her a free ice cream or something, because her vibration was automatically already working for her. There's always things to be grateful for. And one of the secrets to emotional regulation, in my opinion, is gratitude and appreciation. The last one is modeling successful thinking patterns. So if you have not had the kind of success that you want, and you're not around a lot of people who have had that kind of success, you need to learn to model your thinking patterns after people who have had that kind of success that you want. So whether it's you want to start a business, you need to be around successful business owners and model their thinking. Or you want to become a millionaire, you need to spend time with millionaires because they think in ways that you do not think. That's a fact. If you are not experiencing that in your reality, there are things you're not thinking in ways you're not thinking. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, if this is what you want, you need to absorb it. The fastest way to do that, because I know some of you are thinking, well, Jen, I don't know how to get around, millionaires, or I don't know how to get around other business owners. Well, first of all, becoming resourceful, right? Becoming creative and thinking of solutions. But second, books, podcasts. I think books are even better. Books are like creme de la creme because it's someone's life work and you get to experience how they're thinking and how they're being. That's a really, really important, valuable way to start modeling successful thinking patterns. This is also why I think coaching is so valuable, is being around someone who thinks in a way that you want to think, who sees the world in a way that creates more opportunity and more possibility. So those are 4 of the habits that I think would be very helpful for you to cultivate to become truly a master manifester. So in the next episode, we're going to go into 5 more of these truths and 5 more of these common mistakes that people make. I hope this has been so helpful for you. Please leave me a comment. Please share this episode. The podcast has been growing a lot, so I thank you guys so much for sharing it. I thank you guys so much for listening. It means the world to me. And feel free to comment or email me with any ideas that you have or questions that you have. I'd love to hear them. All right. See you in the next episode.